In our second project assignment of the school year, we were tasked with showing our journey towards education and how we ended up wanting to be teachers. My name's Aiden Mossman, and this is my journey towards education. I want to start my journey through education by first talking about my childhood, since that's usually where a lot of this starts. When I was growing up, I used to always want to be a teacher. I aspired to be a teacher. I didn't know of what, but I knew that teaching seemed super fun, and I convinced myself I was kind of good at it. I'd make little fake Quizlets and PowerPoints of my own little fake lessons that were dedicated to both real and fantastical imaginary concepts that I made up. And when it came to school, I always found myself more comfortable and close with teachers than most of the other students. Teachers were so inspirational and supportive, and they always seemed to care so much about their students, and they always knew what the right thing was to do and what to say when I was going through this or that. I think part of me wanted to be that for somebody else. As I got older in schooling, around middle school, I lost track of what exactly I wanted to do. I was focused on my own personal issues that I was going through at the time, usually with stuff at home or my own identity issues. And I spent most of my time kind of wrapped in pointless little passion projects or games that involved my friends. I really liked computers and video games at the time, and they were my absolute favorite hobby and favorite way to spend my free time. And overall, I started to find myself getting exhausted and frustrated by a lot of school. All of its work, certain teachers that I just didn't see eye to eye on, and on top of it, I was never particularly a popular kid in middle school. I was always kind of on the outer ring of things, and so school wasn't exactly a happy place for me anymore. High school is really where my vision of becoming an educator and going into education started to kind of become clear, and eventually would become the clear path that I want to take. I found myself starting to get depressed, upset, and frustrated at myself over poor grades. I couldn't be satisfied with bad grades anymore, and I started to see school as the gateway to success. I found school as an opportunity to prove myself and make something out of myself, and if I chose not to improve my grades and not to put my best foot forward, that the rest of my future would ricochet into a bunch of other problems. Additionally, educators in high school became even greater inspirations for me, and most of them loved and encouraged me. I got along with them, and they saw how much work I put into everything, and a lot of them motivated me to use everything that I had to maximize my capabilities and efficiency and successes. It was also in high school where I really found the most important passion in my life, which was music. I had joined the high school choir, and while I had performed in choirs in the past, I'd been in choir all the way back up to 6th grade at that point, this choir was different. In previous choirs, I never felt like more than just a singer, just another number part of the choir. This choir made me feel like I really had a place. My music teacher and choir director, Mrs. Mornewick, saw something special in me and made me feel like I was something better than I thought I was. She pushed me to begin auditioning for all these difficult honors ensembles, and she pushed me to take more music courses, and shockingly, I succeeded in all of them, which crazy impressed myself. Music became way more than just music. It became way more than a hobby or an interest. It became an escape. It became my home. It became my strongest talent and skill. And it even became probably my biggest passion that I would go on to share with everyone I knew. I would spend so much of my time in high school obligatorily teaching all of my friends and my little brother about all the cool music concepts I heard about in my theory class or that I heard in choir, whether or not they wanted to hear about it. But the biggest moment in which music education became a clear highlighted path for me was at the end of my junior year. Mrs. Mornewick, my choir director, saw just how much I loved music and how much I loved teaching it, She heard from others all the things that I had taught them and how much I just loved it. And after one big success, a difficult success, but a big one, she looked at me after one of our classes and said, "You need to go to school and study music education." I remember being floored when she said this, but now that I'm here, I've gone on to tell her on record multiple times that she was absolutely right, and that those words changed my whole life. Fast forward through the whole college application process, which was difficult and relatively brutal for me, by the way. And right at the end and the climax of my senior year, COVID strikes. Education kind of shuts down, but beyond that, music kind of shuts down. Music was basically taken away from me. No warning, no prep or anything. There were no choirs or ensembles to perform in, and all of my main music commitments had fallen through during the pandemic. You couldn't sing with a mask on. You couldn't expel air in a big room without any risks, so choir stopped being in person. Choir stopped being a thing I could attend. Add this to the fact that I didn't see myself becoming a successful musician anymore. I had been hit pretty hard by the college application process because I had no private lessons, and thus I knew that I couldn't audition into any high-level music program. And at the time, my father wasn't the most supportive, and he encouraged that maybe computer science might have been a better idea. Then I went to Ramapo, and because of bad experiences, I ended up taking a break after my very first semester, potentially considering transferring to another school or another program, since I didn't feel that I'd find success here. Music education had kind of fallen off my radar, but I decided one more time that I'd give it a try. So after a full year of being away from school and working, I re-entered Ramapo's next semester as a music major. So fast forward to this new semester, I joined the Ramapo music program and was invited to a choir by a guy who would actually eventually become my boyfriend that I'm still with to this day. I attended my first Cantanova meeting, which was the audition-based choir, and I met Lisa Luter, Ramapo's main choir director and fantastic voice teacher, and probably one of the most inspirational people to me in my entire life that I've ever met. And when I met her, she welcomed me into her choir with open arms. That very first rehearsal was a very emotional moment for me, and in a lot of ways I consider it to be this big aha moment, because everything clicked back into place again. I was surrounded by united voices making beautiful music, and I remembered what I needed to do. Music had been taken from me, choir, singing had been taken from me, and I didn't realize that that's why everything had been so sad, why life had gotten so much more difficult, because I didn't have singing, I didn't have music, and I didn't have choir. So being under the stars outside in my first semester as a music major, surrounded by beautiful voices, all singing beautiful music together, it's a moment that I will always kind of remember and have firmly implanted in my head as one of my big moments of knowing that I needed to do this for the rest of my life. I remember that I needed to study music education and become a fantastic music teacher and choir director, just like Mornewick told me, and now just like Professor Luter is telling me. And funny enough, speaking of Lisa Luter, she herself even said that she could see through what I wanted to do and who I needed to be without me even talking to her. She could tell that I wanted to be a music educator, and she, like Mrs. Mornewick, would be another fantastic supportive inspiration that would inspire me to become a fantastic music educator. So after that long, twisting journey, I'm grateful to say that I know exactly what I want to do with my life and who I want to be. I want to be an amazing singer and vocal technician that has vocal skill, Alexander technique, and all the other necessary vocal techniques under my hands so that I can both express and sing in whatever ways that I want, while also being able to teach other people to do the same and help other people find the love for their voice that I have. I want to study, teach, and pursue musical composition and have composition and writing under my hands. I want to run a fantastic, welcoming, inclusive, and supportive choir as a choir director, just like the ones I was raised in and the ones that supported me. And of course, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher of music, a teacher of voice, a teacher of choir, a teacher of composition, a teacher of teachers. But most importantly, I want to be a teacher of young, diverse people that come from all different types of things and all different types of struggles that need an outlet to feel powerful, capable, talented, and strong, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they come from. I want to be able to be a teacher that can have an environment where every student can feel welcome, loved, and capable and encouraged in the ways that I was when I was in my choirs. Before I conclude the documentary, I want to just give credit to all the amazing people that inspired me to move forward towards both music and education, and the two of them combined. I want to thank first my best friend Aaron, who was my high school best friend, for pushing me to keep pursuing music and choir, even when I started to kind of fall out of it towards my end of middle school, start of high school. I want to thank my boyfriend Matt for helping me find my way in music again when I had been lost after COVID. I want to thank my little brother for being a personal practice student that I still practice teaching and lessons and music on to this day. I want to thank my dad for supporting me, despite the fact that he was initially kind of discomforted with the idea of me being a musician, since, of course, realistically, like everyone else, he thought that you couldn't really make money through music. And of course, I want to give credit to some of the greatest educators and directors that I've had in my life. I want to thank Jennifer Lederer and Julie Conti, who are two elementary educators that inspired me to this day because of just how masterful they were at being supportive, yet impactful, inspirational educators, even to me as a little kid. My Spanish teacher in 11th and 12th grade, Senora Cuant, because she made me feel so capable and loved for every aspect of my identity and culture. I want to thank Mrs. Sophia and Miss Hager, which are two professors that I had, or two teachers that I had in my freshman year that both supported me in my weak and insecure days as a little freshman. And before I go into directors, I want to thank Mrs. Giuliani, a fantastic math teacher that I had for multiple years, first as a geometry teacher who encouraged me to pursue honors and AP classes, and then later as an AP teacher because I ended up being one of the strongest students in her AP calculus class. In terms of directors, I want to thank these four big, really, really important directors, which first is Christian William, which he is the Ramapo band director because I myself have no experience in band, and he was willing to let me into his band and encourage me and motivate me and welcome me to learn a band instrument. And he's done nothing but completely welcome me in the warmest, nicest ways possible. Tammy Petty, who is the chorale director, for running a fantastic choir and giving me a bunch of nice opportunities and always kind of looking out for me and even motivating me and encouraging me as a future educator and maybe professor. And of course, I have to thank Lisa Luder and Lynn Mornowick-Fold, who are my two most influential directors that I've had in my entire life, both being borderline parent and guardian figures for me in a lot of ways, for just being there to support every aspect of me. Lynn Mornowick-Fold, of course, being the one who started me on my journey and started me on my passion and my love for music and education, and the one who really kick-started my whole journey. Meanwhile, Lisa Luder kept me right on that path and kept me constantly motivated and striving to succeed in my goals and in becoming a fantastic educator. So those are all the people that I want to thank. I'm sorry that this thanking portion was so long. I had to give credit to where credit was due, because I've had so many amazing educators and so many amazing influential people in my life that led me here. So thank you for listening and watching, and this was my journey through education.